The city doesn't announce itself. It simply moves around you. Sidewalks stretch wide and confident, carrying people who seem to know exactly where they're going, or at least where they're meant to end up. Cars glide past in steady lines, not rushed, not hesitant, just flowing with the rhythm Houston seems to have mastered. You notice how open everything feels. The streets breathe, the sky feels closer here, framed by glass towers and steel edges that reflect more light than shadow. There's a softness beneath the scale. Conversations spill gently from cafes tucked between office buildings. A door opens, music escapes for a moment, then disappears again. Food aromas drift without demanding attention. Barbecue smoke, fresh coffee, something fried and familiar. You don't chase it, it finds you. Houston feels lived in, not staged. People move with purpose, but not pressure. Suits walk beside sneakers. Construction workers share crosswalks with students, artists, and families pushing strollers. Nobody seems out of place, because everyone belongs to a different version of the same city. You start to sense that Houston doesn't ask you to fit a mold, it quietly adjusts around you instead. Glass towers rise above, but they don't dominate. They coexist with older brick buildings, street-level shops, shaded bus stops, and unexpected trees lining the road. The city feels horizontal as much as vertical, spreading outward in confidence rather than climbing to prove something. There's room here. Physical room, mental room, emotional room. As you walk, the soundscape shifts. Traffic hums, then fades. Footsteps echo briefly under a covered walkway. A cyclist passes, bell ringing softly. Somewhere nearby, laughter breaks through the steady background noise, reminding you this city isn't just built for work, it's built for living in between work. You notice how Houston avoids spectacle. There are no forced moments, no postcard angles demanding attention. Instead, the beauty appears gradually, in reflections on windows, in murals half hidden by trees, in the way sunlight stretches across concrete without drama. It's the kind of city that reveals itself only if you slow down enough to notice. Downtown feels like a starting point, not a destination. Roads lead outward in every direction, hinting at neighborhoods, cultures, and lives layered beyond what you can see from here. You realize quickly that Houston isn't meant to be consumed in a checklist. It's meant to be experienced in motion, one block, one pause, one observation at a time. And as you stand there, surrounded by movement that never feels overwhelming, a question settles quietly in your mind. Is this city shaping the people who pass through it? Or are the people shaping the city without even trying? Movement is the city's native language. The streets don't rush you, but they don't wait either. People step off curbs with confidence, already synced to the flow of traffic, as if the city has taught them its timing without words. You notice how wide the roads are, how intersections feel less like obstacles and more like pauses, moments to observe the city breathing between destinations. Houston lives in motion, but not chaos. Cars glide past in long stretches, windows down, music leaking softly into the open air. Rideshares pull in and out with practiced ease. Delivery trucks stop briefly, then disappear again, feeding the invisible systems that keep the city running. Even the traffic lights feel patient here, giving space instead of pressure. Side streets tell quieter stories. You pass storefronts that don't shout for attention. Small businesses, barbershops, family-run cafes, places that exist because someone needed them, not because they trend online. A worker leans against a wall, checking their phone. A couple walks by mid-conversation, half lost in their own world. Life unfolds without performance. Houston's lifestyle reveals itself in layers. There's ambition here, but it doesn't wear a single uniform. Office towers suggest long workdays and steady careers, while nearby gyms, coffee shops, and casual lunch spots hint at balance, or at least the attempt to find it. You sense a city that values productivity, but understands that life happens between meetings. Benches aren't just decorative, they're used. Shade isn't accidental, it's necessary. Trees line certain stretches like quiet guardians, offering relief from the sun and a reason to slow down. You notice people stopping, not because they're lost, but because they want to be still for a moment. There's a rhythm to how Houstonians occupy space. No one rushes the sidewalk, yet no one blocks it either. The city seems to have an unspoken agreement. Move with awareness, give room, keep going. It's subtle, but once you notice it, you can't unsee it. As you continue walking, the city begins to feel less like a place you're visiting, and more like a place you could adapt to. The scale that once felt expansive, now feels accommodating. The movement that once felt distant, now feels familiar. Houston doesn't overwhelm, it absorbs. And somewhere between the steady hum of engines and the quiet moments at crosswalks, you realize something important. This city isn't trying to impress you. It's simply inviting you to keep moving with it. The streets stretch onward, leading into spaces where daily life slows and settles. The city softens as you move deeper into it. Busy streets give way to quieter corners, where life unfolds at a slower, more personal pace. Neighborhoods don't announce themselves with signs or boundaries. You feel the shift instead. The noise fades just enough. Sidewalks narrow slightly. Trees appear more frequently, casting moving shadows that follow you as you walk. Cafes become gathering points, rather than destinations. People sit without urgency, laptops open, conversations stretching longer than planned. Some spaces feel modern and minimal, others warm and worn in, but all of them share the same purpose: to offer pause. You sense that in Houston, these places are less about trend and more about routine. They exist because people return to them. Residential streets tell quiet stories. Houses sit back from the road, each one reflecting a different chapter of the city. Brick homes beside newer builds, older porches across from clean-lined renovations. There's no single architectural voice here, only coexistence. The variety doesn't feel messy, it feels honest. Parks appear almost unexpectedly, like the city left room for them on purpose. Green spaces stretch open, inviting without demanding attention. Joggers pass in steady rhythm. Families gather near shaded areas. Someone reads on a bench, undisturbed. These parks aren't dramatic landmarks. They're part of everyday life, woven naturally into the urban fabric. You notice how Houston values space in ways many cities don't. The air feels less compressed. Paths feel designed for wandering, not just passing through. Even when the city is active, there's a sense that you're allowed to slow down, to exist without explanation. Neighborhoods here feel lived in, rather than curated. Murals fade naturally with time. Local shops adapt to their surroundings, instead of reshaping them. People greet one another casually, not because they're performing friendliness, but because familiarity has settled in quietly over years. As you move through these pockets of calm, Houston starts to reveal its emotional center. Not loud, not flashy. A city built around the idea that life doesn't need constant spectacle to feel full. And you begin to wonder, in a place this spacious and adaptable, does the city give people room to become who they are, or does it quietly shape them over time? The path continues, leading toward places where learning, ambition, and opportunity take form. The city shifts again, almost without notice. Buildings take on a different posture here, less expressive, more focused. Campuses blend into neighborhoods instead of standing apart, their presence felt through movement, rather than monuments. Students walk with headphones in, minds already somewhere ahead. Conversations drift past, half about plans, half about pressure. Learning here feels active, ongoing, woven into daily life, rather than confined to classrooms. Houston carries ambition quietly. You sense it in the early mornings, in the steady flow of people entering office buildings, hospitals, labs, and workspaces spread across the city. This isn't a place that romanticizes hustle, it normalizes it. Work is part of the rhythm, not the headline. Jobs exist in layers: healthcare, energy, technology, education, creative work, all moving side by side, rarely competing for attention. You notice how people dress for function rather than display. Comfort meets professionalism. The city seems to reward consistency more than flash, effort more than noise. There's a grounded realism to working life here. Careers feel built over time, not chased overnight. Coffee shops double as informal offices. Parks become meeting points during lunch breaks. The boundaries between work and life blur gently, not because they're ignored, but because the city allows flexibility. Universities and training spaces don't feel isolated from the rest of Houston. They spill outward, influencing neighborhoods, cafes, and local businesses. Knowledge moves through the city the same way people do, steadily, without needing attention. You begin to understand that opportunity in Houston doesn't come dressed as a promise. It arrives as access, as space, as the quiet belief that if you keep showing up, there's room to grow. The city doesn't rush your timeline. It gives you ground to stand on. And as you watch people pass, some just starting out, others clearly settled into their paths, a thought settles in. In a city that moves forward without shouting about it, ambition doesn't burn out. It steadies itself. Ahead, the city opens again, toward places meant for release, enjoyment, and shared moments. The city exhales. Spaces once defined by movement soften into places meant for staying. Lights glow warmer. Music slips through open doors. The pace shifts from purpose to presence. Houston doesn't transform dramatically. It simply reveals another side of itself. One that has always been there, waiting. Attractions don't demand attention here. They blend into the flow of life. Art spaces, entertainment districts, open plazas, and performance venues feel approachable rather than monumental. People gather without ceremony. Some come with plans, others arrive simply because the city offered a reason to step outside. Nightlife doesn't overpower the streets. It coexists with them. Lounges hum quietly. Restaurants fill with conversation instead of noise. Somewhere nearby, a show lets out and the crowd spills gently onto the sidewalk, laughter lingering longer than the event itself. Houston's evenings feel communal, not performative. Shopping districts feel lived in rather than polished. People browse without urgency. The city becomes a network of small shared moments, a glance exchanged, a door held open, a brief smile between strangers moving in opposite directions. What makes Houston linger isn't a single landmark or experience. It's the way everything fits together without insisting on attention. The space, the pace, the permission to exist without proving anything. The city meets people where they are, not where they think they should be. You realize Houston isn't a city that asks to be admired, it asks to be understood. And understanding comes slowly, through repetition, through ordinary days, through noticing how the city adapts without losing itself. As the streets continue their quiet motion and the city settles into itself, one final thought remains. Maybe the reason Houston stays with you isn't because it tried to impress you, but because it gave you room to feel at home without asking why. Houston doesn't close the door behind you. Even as the walk ends, the city feels unfinished in the best way, like a conversation paused, not ended. The streets keep moving without you. Cafes will open again tomorrow, parks will fill and empty. Lives will continue at their own steady pace. That's the quiet power of this place. Houston doesn't cling, it allows return. It lets you leave without making you feel like you missed everything. Because nothing here belongs to just one moment. Houston offers familiarity. And maybe that's why, long after the screen fades to black, the feeling remains, not of a trip completed, but of a city that left space for you, whenever you're ready to walk it again.